Hello and welcome back to Super Mario 64, where today we are going to be finishing Rainbow Ride. So let's get in there. We got a few stars. Well, we need 2 more. That's not many. Especially because this one is like the shortest one, because star's right over there. So we'll take this shortcut. I feel like there's some other shortcut that you can use to get there even faster. That's not it. I feel like jumping off that guy might be part of it, though. Okay, let's hop on over. I don't think this guy gets us enough height to really be super worthwhile, but we can figure something out. Come on over, buddy. Yeah, not enough height to really help. Okay, just gotta come this way like we've done so many times before. Actually, we've only done it like 2, maybe 3 times before. Still. And come on over here. Jump over that, and here we are. Okay, can we not... I feel like we are able to get through there. But whatever, I'll do this the intended way. Intended-ish. Provided you don't suck. Ooh, I am glad I was able to bounce backwards there somehow. I do not remember ever having this much trouble with this. There. We got it. Okay, time to finally use that cannon that I unlocked the first time we came here. Or at least the first time I got to where I could unlock it. So, let's see here. What other N64 stories do I have? Well, as with any young child who doesn't have very many video games because they were super expensive back then, N64 cartridges had a habit of running like 70 to 90 bucks, I think it was. And that's bucks US. So that's a bunch. And so I got like maybe 2 or 3 per year, because I'm not gonna lie, I come from a nice family. Like, we're not the richest in the world, but I had a nice upbringing. But yeah, my grandfather, I would often ask to spend days with him because he liked it, and also I learned fairly early on that he loved very little more than spoiling his grandsons. And thus I learned that, oh, if I say enough times that I really want this game that's coming out, and then I hang out with him a bunch, then sometimes at the end of our trips to the aquarium or SeaWorld or whatever, he might be willing to take me to an electronics store and buy me the game I want. And in fact, it was on just such a trip that I learned that Banjo-Tooie was delayed from its originally announced release date. And that was a thing that could happen. But anyway, I got off topic a little bit. Games that I absolutely loved on the N64. Banjo-Kazooie. I played through that one a bunch. Still have it because I freaking love it. Mario, please. Please, Mario, please. Okay. Banjo-Tooie, of course I got that and played it, though I don't like it as much as Banjo-Kazooie. Like, it's bigger, which, I mean, that is neat, but Banjo-Kazooie felt more focused. Like, it was just you and the collectibles. Okay, this seems good. Star Fox 64, I played every single route that I could. I got the medal on every planet, I know that much. Also, hey, we're done with Rainbow Ride. That was faster than expected. I had meant to do this before Rainbow Ride, because it actually has me a little more concerned. Simply because the penalty for failure is steeper, in my eyes, than just losing a life. So the cannons are not open yet, that's fine. But yeah, Gauntlet Legends. I played that a lot. Okay, I guess we don't need that hat, that's fine. Mario Kart 64, played that a lot. Mario Party 3, I owned that one, played it a lot. That was the go-to party game with my friends. I never owned Super Smash Bros., but I rented it like 5 times. And let me tell you, it was annoying to have to unlock item select again every single time. What else? I didn't own it, but a friend owned Hydro Thunder on the N64, and that was, at least at the time, probably still today even, that was my favorite arcade game. So, like, whenever I was in an arcade that had a Hydro Thunder machine, that was the game that I would be playing. I'm forgetting. Paper Mario, that's a big one. Donkey Kong 64, that one I played through. Geez, it was, I think, 7 times I full cleared DK64. And yeah, I freaking loved that game. And, like, it definitely had some frustrating bananas, and I can recognize now why people say it's not really a very good game. But I loved it at the time. Played through it a whole bunch. And when I learned that you could sell games to GameStop and get money for them, I sold it because, oh, I beat it 6 or 7 times getting everything in it. So surely I will never want to play it again. Like within a year, I regretted that. Stopped selling games to GameStop unless they were games that I had better versions of, or that I just didn't like to begin with. Yeah. That was the thing. I still kind of regret having sold it because, it's one of those games where, I mean, for the longest time, I had no way to play it because they didn't put it on the Wii Virtual Console, but they did eventually put it on the Wii U Virtual Console. But, oh man, is the Wii U Virtual Console not a good way to play it. Just, that game does not work on anything other than an N64 controller. And that's just a fact of life. its control scheme is terrible on anything else. Because it was one of those few games that was very much designed for the controller it was on. Like, a lot of N64 games were really, like, just having all the C buttons. Also, I figure I should say it, the reason I was afraid of this stage is because if you fall, instead of losing a life, you get sent back outside the castle. And you have to climb all the way back up, and it sucks. And I guess we're going to get started with TikTok Clock, because otherwise this would be a very short episode. So, let's go ahead and just pop in at 3 o'clock, why not? 3 o'clock makes things go slow. Yeah. Or does it? This seems awfully normal to me. Whatever. Words. Video games. Oh, well, this seems slow. What was I even talking about? Completely lost track of things because TikTok Clock. Conceptually, one of my favorite stages in this game. Like, Tiny Huge Island I love, but TikTok Clock is a close second conceptually. Yeah, DK64, played a lot, liked it, etc., etc. Roll into the cage, that's this one, right? Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, I played that a lot. Oh, right. Games being made for the N64 controller because of C buttons and all that. Yeah, that was very much a thing. Because, like, yeah, it was a system that had not 2, not 4, but 6 face buttons. Plus a shoulder button and a trigger. At least using the standard grip. I don't think I owned any games that used the D-pad. At least not primarily. So yeah, like 6 face buttons, 1 trigger, and 1 shoulder button. That is a lot of buttons. A lot of real estate. And a lot of games also used the Z button as not its own thing, but as a, well, yes, as its own thing, but also as a modifier. And the Pit and Pendulum is not this one. Which one is it? I don't remember. Let's just take this one anyway. This is a star. Plus, well, with time being slow, this is going to take a while, but that just gives us more time to talk. So yeah, like, modern controllers, we got the 4 face buttons, and that is standard. We've got more shoulder buttons, sure. We've got 2 triggers, 2 shoulder buttons. But, like, none of it's the same. Especially, like, games like Banjo-Kazooie used the C buttons for so much. They were the camera controls if you weren't holding anything. But if you were holding the Z button, the Z trigger, then they became a completely different set of buttons. Cool. I just wasted our time. Yeah, they became a completely different set of buttons. Which, like, sure, you can do that with other control schemes, except it also modified A and B as well. So that's 6 different buttons that are modified by 1 button. So, like, that's a thing. There's no way to accurately map things onto a modern controller. without changing things. I mean, that's true of this game, too. Because, like, most games use the C buttons for camera control. That's what they were for. That's why they were the C buttons. Though I do know a lot of people who thought they were the C buttons because, oh, we've got the A button and the B button, and now there's a bunch of C buttons. But no, it's C as in camera. They're the camera buttons. Yeah, this is the star we're supposed to be going for. So, like, yeah, games use the C buttons for camera control. Except modern controllers don't have all those buttons. But a lot of games where it's just, if it's just a re-release of an old game rather than a remake, well, then they're usually... Oh, I froze time. We actually need time to be moving for Get a Hand, which is the star that I almost got last time. But hey, we can stop time for 8 red coins. That's a star. In fact, we can stop time for more than 8 coins. Let's stop time for 100. Why not? But yeah, mapping the C buttons onto the right stick never feels good. Ever. It always feels just wrong having an analog stick mapped to a digital input. Because, like, there's degrees with an analog stick, but with a digital input, there's no degrees. It's just on or off. So, like, some games will have it be, oh, all the way on is the only way that counts as on. In that case, well, it takes longer to press the button than it otherwise would, and that can cause big problems in some games. There's some games where it's like, oh, any amount of on means it's fully on. Which, I mean, hey, in some situations that's better. In some situations it's worse. Like, it's a lot easier to do accidental inputs. Because, like, if you... I had a GameCube controller with a stick that was way overly sensitive. To a ludicrous degree. Like, if I was playing Smash Bros. And I tried to go right, for example, it would often actually take into account the little, the wind-up, so to say. The anticipation, we would call it in animation principles, where you go ever so slightly to the left before going to the right. And it would actually catch that. And so my character would end up going a couple steps to the left first when I'm trying to go right. And that's a problem. A big... Oh, can we not go any higher than this? That's also a big problem. Wait, what's that? Can we get to that? No, that's too high up. I believe we are stuck. Yep. Can't get 100 coins. Cool. And we almost lost the ability to get the 8 reds as well. But yeah, stuff. Yeah. Can't do either any on is all on or all on is the only on. Neither one feels good. But then you do, like, partway on is on with the stick, and even that doesn't feel good. That feels sluggish. And, like, yeah, you don't have the accidental inputs, so that's something. But also, you don't have any other benefits. So, like, yeah, there's no perfect way to map digital inputs to an analog stick. It just can't be done, as far as I'm concerned. Okay, not getting that. But that makes it really tricky to do N64 games right, because, yeah, there's no controller other than an N64 controller that has all the right buttons you need. So, like, there's no good way to play an N64 game other than on an N64 unless they're willing to redo some systems. Like, if they give a game full analog camera control, that's great. I would love that. But, like, Nintendo's Virtual Console offerings don't do that. They're just emulation. This game doesn't do that, even though there's no excuse. I would love full analog camera control right here. But yeah, there's just no good way to do it. Which is really a problem for games preservation, isn't it? Because, like, if you're playing an N64 game on anything other than an N64, you're not getting the experience that the developers designed. Whereas if you play a Super Nintendo game on a Wii, if you're using the classic controller, that's close enough. If you're playing it on a Switch with the Super Nintendo Switch controllers, well, that's almost ideal, really. Like, I know there's some purists who will... Uh-oh. Oh, how did I not take damage? Yeah, there's some purists who will definitely argue that Switch games on... or that Super Nintendo games on the Switch are inaccurate in some way or other, but, like, for most people, they're accurate enough. That's for sure. And, like, if you use the Switch Super Nintendo controllers, well, it's not like they're gonna control any differently. So, yeah, that's great. It's a great way to play the games. But if they were to do, like, Nintendo Switch Online N64, unless they make a Switch N64 controller, I don't know that I would be super into it. And, like, even playing Super Nintendo games without the Super Nintendo controllers, because, like, that's the whole thing, is playing on different controllers. Like, the Switch Pro controller and the Joy-Cons, they have 4 face buttons. They've got what functions as start and select. They've got L and R. So, like, they've got all the same buttons that... What? Thanks, Invisible Wall. Yeah, they've got all the same buttons you need. So, like, yeah, where's the issue? There isn't one. That's where. Let's give this a little bit of time here. It is the hour hand that matters, right? Not the minute hand? It could be the minute hand. Let's have an experiment in just a little moment here. Okay, let's just wait until the next time it hits the 9, because then the hours hand will be at 6. 6-ish. But if it's at 9, then things go fast. If it's at 6, then things go kind of random. And it looks like we got fast. Okay, so it's the minutes hand that matters. Which I probably could have told myself. I'm pretty sure I remembered that. I was definitely thinking it loudly, but I didn't believe myself. Ooh, but having it be fast does make it a little trickier to get up here. Especially if you're not facing the right way. Come on. There we go. And now let's get this hand... Oh, or it can go away. That's also an option. I'm watching you, Fire Spitter. Bam. Switch controllers all have the same buttons that a Super Nintendo controller has. So even if you're not using a controller designed for Super Nintendo games, it still works for Super Nintendo games. But if you're using a controller not designed for N64 games, then it's really hit or miss whether or not the N64 game will work in a palatable manner. It's really down to how the original devs used the C-Stick. Why did I go in at midnight? We can't get up there. Rather, why did I go in at 12? Alright, so we need to go all the way to the top for this one, which makes this a great candidate for 100 coins. And we've got time moving, so we actually can get up there. GameCube games also, to an extent, are harder to do without a GameCube controller. Wow, I tripped over the word controller there. But, yeah, that's down to two things. The button layout is different than any other controller out there. Which, in some places, I mean, it's actually feels good. But in other places, it didn't really do much. Like, it makes it harder to hit certain buttons simultaneously, like X and B. Well, I guess that's also hard on a Switch Pro controller. But you could always hit A and any other button at the same time on a GameCube controller, which that felt great. And you could do X and Y easily, you can do A and B easily, which, I mean, that's what you could do on a Super Nintendo controller. But then there's some Super Nintendo games where it just doesn't feel good. Of course, we're not talking about Super Nintendo games. We're talking about GameCube games on other platforms. And the other thing that the GameCube did that was different was its analog shoulder buttons. With a nice, long analog press. Like, you could press those things deep with a firm click at the end, and the controller recognized both the full range of the press as well as the click as separate inputs. Which worked great for Mario Sunshine. I wonder what they do for that game in this, because I've heard you can't... I've heard that even if you use a GameCube controller in this Mario 3D All-Stars, that it doesn't do the analog shoulder buttons. Like, it doesn't read them. So I wonder what they're going to do for that. But yeah, like, GameCube games, you can play those on a GameCube. You can play those on a Wii using GameCube controllers. With modding, you can play those... This isn't where I want to go. With modding, you can play those on a Wii U with GameCube controllers. And I guess you can play one of those on a Switch with a GameCube controller, but that doesn't work like a GameCube controller for no reason? How am I supposed to do this? I do not rightly recall. Is it just jump and be good? It's just jump and be good. Is that block something I care about? It's a few coins. I kind of care about those. Okay, let's not get pushed off here. Is this coins? It is coins. Yeah, there's plenty of ways that you can play GameCube games using a GameCube controller. N64 games using an N64 controller, well, that's a little trickier. Because, if you're talking legal methods, it's you use an N64 or you don't play the game. Which is really a shame for games preservation. I mean, I'm not saying anything controversial by saying that Nintendo is not good for games preservation. But there's so many things they could be doing that they just aren't. But if they did a Nintendo Switch Online for N64 games, actually released games on it, and like games people want to play, and also released an N64 wireless controller, oh man, would I be all over that. Whoops. Or if they updated the Switch so that it could actually recognize GameCube controllers L and R as analog inputs. That would also help. And then they could do GameCube games. I would be all over that too. But apparently, as is, the Switch doesn't recognize analog input of the GameCube's L and R, even if you're using official GameCube controllers. Which is sad. And we gotta wait for this hand to come back. There's probably a way that we could get there faster. But I don't trust myself to do that and survive. There. And as long as that thing doesn't let loose a fireball while it is on top of the hand, we have nothing to fear. There. It can't hurt us. It really does disappoint me that Nintendo just killed Virtual Console. Like, don't get me wrong, Nintendo Switch Online is great, and I love the additional features that they've added. Not to mention the fact that it's the best emulation Nintendo's ever done for NES and Super Nintendo. But, like, wow, did I really just let that happen? Whatever, we can wait. But, like, I want to be able to just outright buy the games and just have them, rather than have them be tied to a Nintendo Switch Online service. Like, it's great value. Fantastic value. What is it, 20, 25 bucks a month for all of those games? And also for online service, which there's arguments to be made about whether it is or is not a good value for what you get. Like, compared to PS Plus, it's way cheaper. But in this case, you're also getting what you pay for. Nintendo's online servers are not the greatest. Primarily because it's actually a lot of peer-to-peer more than it is actual servers, from what I can tell. But, yeah, either way. It's a great price if you look at it as just for access to the classic games. Except you don't get to choose what games you want. Like, I don't care for about half of the library. But I get it all. There's no option to get any less. And that's just the way things are. Okay, one more star to get in here. Let's go in at 3. Time to get this star that we already went to. On the subject of paying a lot for Nintendo emulation. Well, actually, I didn't finish my thought, really. Yeah, buying discrete virtual console games. I missed that. Like, on the Wii and Wii U, and even the 3DS to an extent, I bought games that I like, or that I was interested in, but didn't know whether or not I liked them. Like, Kid Icarus I had never played until Wii Virtual Console. But, yeah, I got it there. And the price was reasonable. $5 for a NES game? That's fine. $8 for a Super Nintendo game? Sure. $10 for an N64, or was it 15? I remember feeling like it was maybe a little high for the N64 games. But I still paid for them. At least a couple of them. Otherwise, how would I know that DK64 does not... Or wait, I need to go here. DK64 does not control well on a Wii U controller. I know that specifically because I got it on the Wii U Virtual Console as soon as I could, because I wanted to play that game again. And then I didn't get past the first world because, oh boy, did it not feel good to play on that controller. Like, I eventually settled on a control scheme, which, thank goodness, the Wii U versions of Virtual Console games let you custom control schemes. I settled on a way where it was like ZR to rotate the camera to the right, ZL to rotate it left, instead of using the analog stick, because I just hated it. But yeah, yeah, I was fine with paying for Virtual Console games. I was also fine with paying a few extra dollars, like $1 to $2 extra to get the Wii U version and get access to save states and all that. Because, hey, it's extra functionality. I'm cool with that. And also, it makes me not have to go through a load screen in order to play the games, which, that's also cool. Like, not load screen into the Wii menu. And I know we can't jump into these. I'm just doing things with my hands. But then, like, Switch Online, it's also a fine price, but then there's this compilation that I'm playing this game in. While I do love 2 out of the 3 games in it, and the third one I was very fond of at the time, but I don't know that I'm super willing to play it again. $60 for these 3 games is a bit much. I don't think I'm saying anything controversial there. But hey, whatever. There's always the chance, slim though it may be, that Nintendo does update this compilation so that, like... but it's emulation. Can they update it in a way that would change the way the controls work? I don't think they can, but... You know, I can still hold on to hope that maybe someday they make it so that I can have full analog camera control in this game. But whatever. I've gone on long enough about Nintendo's emulation and all that. It's time to end this episode. Join us next time when we're going to finish this game, then play around a little bit with stuff that you can only do after you've got all 120 stars. See you then, friends.